Hey everybody, I have a video here for you today. Now, my most surprising research of 2016, by far, on the Shroud of Turin you see here. And when I first started researching it, I for sure thought it would be a, 600-year-old forgery of some kind, but I wanted to get to the bottom of the story. Who made it? How? A lot of questions. And the further I researched this, I was stunned to realize that this is an actual 2,000-year-old artifact, and the carbon dating by the church was done in the worst way possible. And there's a video that I uploaded that clearly shows this. And there are pollen grains in this from the Jerusalem and Turkey area, that if it was made in, France or in Europe somewhere in 400, 600 years ago, and it's always been there, how did that get in there? And the more shocking thing is I realized this was the Holy Grail. There really was a Holy Grail. And I always, associated that with the cup legend. And then realizing the Knights Templar put out the cup story just so people would get thrown off of this true relic of Christ that they actually had, or, the person that the Bible calls Jesus Christ. But what do we know about the Holy Grail? For one, we know it is directly connected to Joseph of Arimathea, and in the Bible, of course, Joseph of Arimathea buys the burial shroud of Christ. And it holds the blood of Christ. That's another very important thing we know about the Holy Grail. And tests done show it's human blood on the Shroud of Turin. We know it's directly connected to the King Arthur legend, and Ralph Ellis has made a series of videos and interviews, and I'll leave a few links below, where he goes over, and I think it's brilliantly, how the King Arthur story is just a retelling of the original Christ story. We know that the Holy Grail has healing powers. Well, the father of the church histories, Eusebius, what does he say about the image of Christ, our earliest version of this relic? He says it was sent to heal King Akbar of the Edessa, Turkey area. So, healing powers, well, the father of the church says it healed the king. So that's directly connected. And in the story of Joseph of Arimathea, and he's only mentioned, was it once in the Bible, in the crucifixion story, but the apocryphal texts have a whole story on him. And in order to read or understand the Gospels that are in the Bible, I think everybody should read the apocryphal texts. But the Holy Grail, it is said to sustain Joseph of Arimathea when he is imprisoned for decades. What do the apocryphal texts say was given to him and sustained him in his time in prison? A linen with the image of Christ. Now, the earliest Grail stories, what time period do they come from? They come from 1180 to 1240. Those are the earliest legends of the Grail. Well, the Knights Templar marched into Constantinople in 1204 and took the linen with the image with them back to Europe. So, is that a coincidence? No, it's not. And here is some of the earliest artwork of the Holy Grail. And obviously, here it is, to me, right here. They hid it in plain sight. This is some of the earliest artwork of the Holy Grail, and the reason why this is here is because the Pope at the time that Christianity was made the official religion of Rome said Holy Communion should be served on a linen as if it's the burial shroud of Christ, with the blood represented by the wine and the bread representing the body that is directly related to the Shroud of Turin. And finally, everybody flips out over the Da Vinci Code in the Holy Grail. Well, Leonardo was no idiot. He knew exactly what the Holy Grail was. It's right there in plain sight, the linen on the table, just as the Pope at the time said it should be, put for Holy Communion. And if you take the dimensions of the bodies here, this linen is in perfect dimension of the Shroud of Turin, with little handles at the corner, as it originally was on the shroud. So, when you can connect the Shroud of Turin, and that's what we know it as today, it was originally known as the image of Edessa, if you can connect that to the Holy Grail, about really everything we know about the Holy Grail, then you have the Holy Grail. So, I'm glad you know what the Holy Grail is. You all have a Happy New Year.